Hello, everyone. Welcome, Jashtile, and thank you for joining us. I'm Joy, and I'd like to wish everyone a very auspicious Lhabab Düchen, the celebration of the Buddha's return from the realm of the gods. For today's event, we are offering interpretation in a variety of languages: Chinese, German, Portuguese, Sharchop, and Spanish interpretation. So please click the globe icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen to select your preferred language. I'll just give everyone a moment to do that. All right. We are deeply honored to be celebrating Lhabab Düchen today with Raktrul Rinpoche, who is also known as Dotulku. In honor of this auspicious day, Rinpoche will be sharing insights on the topic of the secrets of the Tathāgata, closely referencing the text from the Kangyur named The Secrets of the Realized Ones, which 84,000 translated into English last year. We will share the link to the text in the comment box for your easy reference. Dotulku is the resident Lama and spiritual guide of Arya Tara's Net, an online community and center for Buddhist studies and practice in Windeck, Germany. Dotulku Rinpoche was recognized by His Holiness the Sakya Trichen at the age of 17 as the reincarnation of the fifth Raktrul Rinpoche. His incarnation line goes back to the first Raktrul Rinpoche from the 17th century, a master of Dodang Monastery in East Tibet. After his recognition, he received an 11-year training in Buddhist philosophy, practice, and debate at the Dzongsa Khyentse Chögyal Lodro Institute in India, from which he graduated with the title of Acharya. Since then, Rinpoche has been teaching and guiding retreats in India, Nepal, Europe, and South America. He has received teachings, transmissions, and initiations from some of the greatest masters of our time, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Sakya Trizin, Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk, Dzongsa Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche, Dakchen Rinpoche, Luding Khenchen Rinpoche, and many more. Dotulku Rinpoche has also worked as a translator for 84,000, translating the words of the Buddha. Before we invite Dotulku to start the teaching, let us all recite the aspiration prayer for 84,000 together. I hope everyone sees the aspiration prayer on the screen now. So let us recite this together. As peace, harmony, sanity, and the well-being of this earth and its inhabitants are now so endangered, may there never be a time when the world's media, school textbooks, and daily conversations stop using words like generosity, patience, and loving kindness, and when the meaning of such words is lost. As we fear the darkest hour of this dark age, may there never be a time when words like impermanence, anitya, unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, selflessness, anatman, dependent arising, praditya samutpada, illusion, maya, and emptiness, shunyata, cease to exist, and when their meaning is lost. May the endeavors of the translators and editors plant the seed of the Dharma in all directions. May the efforts of the patrons and administrators nurture and strengthen the shoot of the Dharma at all times. May the noble aspirations of this endeavor maintain and propagate the precious Dharma far and wide. This prayer was composed by Brahma Pushpa in India, June 2020. Thank you, everyone, for reciting the aspiration prayer together. Now, please welcome Dotulku to begin his teachings.
So, Tashitile. Kaji, Sergio Ranger, Mendara, the Legend, and the Jim Bosses on the Villan, going down, considering the Pulsar of the Government, but Kaimba. Tetatum Jetabot and Begur to be soon in Drishi, she, Ladan Lemon, Mim, Wambuda, Yajin, Lasu, Chola, Chawachaban. Sangi Sungrab of the Jijing David Jurujur, but the Jiji temperature engine in Drishi, she can't touch Tonga Jidena, the Shiklomar Jurbakan soda. 땡들 덤비지 지철법지 님버도 바탐제들지 지 남모 라이케들 도네진게 두범다다 미 있잖아. 도건 지단남 지점 버탐제게도 다게 쳤댄도 받은서 라마rum보제 다게 지르베면 되죠. 가린 심벌 권내 제송도 구송도 제모 접자도 소 탑게 투지 샤제리스 총 신림미도 두지 봉점 바스르질럼보 더브르지 베고 샤제제베 샤블라 차서 Chakdung kolo jube jabon don jan nonga basam bosam ge don kala gande tela terden ba temba chereze la chazalo se ji jawa tamji ji ishi pung bo chik do ba si ji kun je ba jube jambe yang la chazalo kamshi tong shinje panya la so dawan tani chojer jer je ba do je chen la cha cha lo korwa le do tare ma to da re ji jo to re no nam lo do ma yum la cha cha lo so adif so nam kinse ho jes kinse shinje lo shi kinse Kaolama, kinsewa, Sūtra, signal, kinsewa, puji, channel lama, kinse de channel, chinla, terchen tanya lama, jantal de channel, chogu tanglo, nyingi kolo, namsam kanki, chakdang so. Nisem, tachi tambe me batu gungun besi zechi, jasi tu namtra sabjing jachi tala, nirso ze, yapjing nile, lashen tala, rewa ma, chikang Ningsim kundu jamin kube samja chibi chimji shu chungse menye menje surni rangi nyebe lebe se tadung kyunye major pardo caption so waram major roche ujin yu jin nob jang sampe mage zaradung la yensen shoge ngudum nye pe machung shi kordo khandra mangbe kor chiji jiso thado di shinje lobcher sheksu sol guru pe masedi hun kusum nama soche doji ta la chuk dum nung jing ngudrup saltu so Ujin rinpoche la zo andam ka jimbar jime jo shintun jen samba dropa na chodon tomo ngo drop tsawdo. Mm, So I'm so happy to be here today and to speak upon the sutra, this most marvelous sutra, the secrets of the Tathagatas. Um, I have chosen this sutra for so many reasons. One obvious reason being that it is about the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, our teacher. And also, one of the main characters of this sutra is Vajrapani. And so, of course, as a devotee of Vajrapani, it gives me so much joy and blessing just to be taking his name, the blessed name of Vajrapani. Well, as this is a spiritual gathering, I would like to request us all to remember our motivation, remind ourselves of our intention, motivation, our path. That for the sake of the liberation of all sentient beings, we must attain full awakening. And for that and only that purpose, we now discuss this most wonderful sutra This is a Mahayana gathering, and so such a motivation is needed. Especially when the speaker is someone like me, who is not an academic, not a scholar, not an intellectual, but someone who aspires to have complete trust and belief in the Triple Gem. So then I must say this from the beginning, that there's not going to be a lot of intellectual exercises today. Not here. Just the Sūtra is just so wonderful. I spent the whole day yesterday going through the text. It's about 200 pages. And almost in every page, I found things. I read things that I thought, oh, we should discuss this. Oh, we should discuss this. And I end up with a long list of notes and page numbers that so yes, our motivation should be for the longevity of Buddha Dharma. As long as Dharma remains, the door of liberation remains open to sentient beings. And as aspiring bodhisattvas, that's the best thing we can do. That's the most we can do. That's the most sincere thing that is in our capacity. And so this gathering today, where we take fortunate names such as Siddhartha Gautama, Bodhisattva, Santamati, Vajrapani, and so on, undoubtedly this will generate so much merit. And all of that should be dedicated towards liberation of beings and the longevity of Buddha Dharma, authentic Buddha Dharma upon this earth, in this world and in all worlds, and sincere practitioners. Before we begin going to the Sutra, I would like to request you all to try and sit straight and recall Siddhartha Gautama. Bring to your mind this completely awakened being. The visualization is Gautama Buddha, Bhagavan Buddha, seated under the Bodhi tree, with his right hand touching the ground and left hand in meditation posture, and his gaze fixed on you. We are seated in front of a fully awakened being whose mind is completely free. There is no afflictions, no aggression, no desire, no obsession, no ignorance, no jealousy, no arrogance, pride, no fear, no doubt. Someone whose mind is completely free. Someone who possesses the wisdom of omniscience, yet it is someone who is without any trace, not even a hint of self-grasping and self-preference, whose whole existence is out of his compassion, wisdom, and might, strength, skillful means. So, such a being is our teacher. We are follower of such fully awakened Buddha. So in this visualization with gratitude or devotion, please remain in this meditation of looking at the Buddha, his face, his robe, his hands, the Bodhi tree behind him, seat made of kusha grass. Thank you very much. That was the main part of today's session. Well, now, so such a being, someone whose only motivation is compassion, who only seeks to benefit you, who has no pretense. And so such a being is, I guess, such a being will always be mysterious to us. Someone who is beyond concept of time, beyond concept of shape, colors, someone who is beyond all measurements of conventional world. Such a being, if we can even call him a being, even him, is going to be mysterious to us, always. Not because of him hiding something from us. One of the qualities of the Buddha is that he has nothing to hide. There is nothing to hide. And so fearless. Yet it is due to our own limitations, our own shortcomings. The qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are secret to us, remain a secret to us. So talking about the Buddha is always tricky. Generally, you have the description of Siddhartha Gautama that you find in from sources like Pali scriptures and in the Mahayana scriptures. Within Mahayana, so these two Pali sources, Mahayana sources are going to be very different. The Sravaka descriptions of the Siddhartha Gautama. And then within Mahayana, then you have the Mantrayana and Kausalyana. And that too, their descriptions are going to be very different. Within Sutrayana, the causal path, again, you will have many different levels of understanding, dependent on many different sutras. And in Vajrayana too, based upon different tantras, or levels of tantras, you will have different understanding and different explanation of the Buddha, what the Buddha is, and what he did, what happened during the time, even the time, the notion of time. So I want to say this because here in this sutra, we are kind of given a bird's eye view, thanks to Vajrapani himself having such a view. So, but yes, all of these accounts of the Buddha are trustworthy. All of these accounts of the Buddha are the intention of the awakened wisdom. So amongst that, there's no distinctions as one being superior and the other being inferior. So we must not have that. Honestly, at times, descriptions that you find in sutras that treats Prince Siddhartha, sometimes like ordinary being, you might find it more appealing. You can relate more to that. Whereas at times, the descriptions in the Mahayana Sutra is somewhat, for myself, being a completely ordinary, ignorant person, somewhat disappointing, Buddha being already so perfect and so wonderful from the birth, from his birth, and then all of the struggles, this is just mere display, and then you do not feel so, you do not relate to that sometimes. I remember reading this sutra called Abhinishkramana Sutra. You should read it. Umbarjung Veddo, Abhinishkramana Sutra, where there is a description when Siddhartha meets one of his wives, and he's sitting on his chariot and he's passing by, and she is looking at him from the roof of her residence, and they look at each other and they are so spellbound in love that they begin to speak. And as they begin to speak, Siddhartha, he was holding a bow, bow and arrow, bow. A bow that was so heavy that ordinary person could not lift it, yet he had it in his hand. And he did not even realize that in his passion, he broke the bow, and he didn't even realize that it was broken. Those are the kind of things I like. And you can also find those things in the sutras. So you have this, basically, as it is taught in this sutra, there are countless of beings. And so countless of beings have countless of dispositions and motivations and karma and ability and capacity and so on. And depending on that, there are countless of activities of the Buddha happening simultaneously, instantaneously. Today, is Lhabab Düchen. So Lhabab Düchen is Buddha descending. Is it descending, right? Yeah, from the heavenly realm of 33. What is the name? Trayastimsa. This is also such a beautiful account, and if you could, you should spend time to know about this. It was said that Siddhartha Gautama had there was a public debate between him and 6 well-known teachers of other schools, non-Buddhist schools, and he defeated them. Not only that, there was great display of miracles and so on. And so suddenly the numbers of his follower grew, and people who would invite these Buddha and the monks and nuns grew, and it was becoming a little bit of a problem. And also it was time to liberate the rebirth of his mother, who was, his birth mother, who died when 1 week after the birth of Siddhartha Gautama. And so Buddha, together with Mahakasyapa, Sariput, Sariputra, and 8,000 arhats went to the heavenly realm of Trayastrimsa. And there he began teaching. He, for the next 3 months, Buddha spent the rain retreat in Trayastrimsa. Not only that, and many other heavenly realms, traveling through each different realms and giving teachings of sutras and tantras and Sravaka teachings, Sravaka vehicles. So then, based upon that, if you go to Pali sources, you might find that then the rebirth of of Buddha's mother saw the truth, noble truth, or the ultimate truth. I do not think he becomes an arhat. It could be that to become an arhat in these traditions, you have to become a human being. Anyway, and then in the Mahayana sources like this, is that then this being is liberated from samsara. So during that time, for 3 months, nobody saw Buddha, and people were becoming very anxious, and especially the great king Prasenajit. And so the king, together with retinue, goes to the monks, goes to Moggallanaputra, to invite, to inquire where is the Buddha. And when he's told where the Buddha was at that time, he begs Moggallanaputra, I think it was Moggallanaputra, to go and please invite the Buddha back on Jambudvipa, Earth, human realm. And so after 3 months, I guess 3 months for us maybe was like not even a one morning in the heavenly realms, due to the difference in time. Nevertheless, after 3 months, Buddha is a descent, right? yeah, descend from the heavenly realms. And he blessed it so that all people who were gathered there in the noble land of Sankasya, the kings, the lay monks, nuns, they could all see the Buddha from far away and also see all the gods and goddesses that were accompanying the Buddha and so on. So that's why this day is considered to be a very special day, a auspicious day, and a day, if on these auspicious days, if you remember the activities of the Buddha, if you just remember the Buddha, just the name or the idea of the Buddha, you accumulate so much merit. The tragedy is that we have so little trust in ourselves that when you read in the sutras that a mere sort of instant of recollection of Buddha, you accumulate merit that would otherwise take countless of lives. It's difficult to believe that you will purify negative karma accumulated for countless of lives, hundreds, thousands of lives. It's difficult to believe, but you find these descriptions in the sutras, especially sutra like Buddha Anusmriti Samadhi Sagara. I don't know if it is translated, but if it is, you should read those. Anyway, we go into this sutra. So, the secrets of the Sugatas, Tathagatas. Tathagata, here translated as the realized one. Elsewhere, you might find translations such as like literal translations, such as the thus gone one. Deshin Shekpa, Deshin, thus Shekpa gone. I think you can also do that with Tathagata. Um, as I was saying, although no phenomena in their nature is a secret, but due to the capacity of the subject in different minds, they can be labeled secret. And so the activities of the Buddha is said to be secret, a secret. The activities of his physical form are secret to different kinds of physical activities. Is secret to different kinds of being, different kinds of speech activities are secret to different kinds of beings, and most importantly, different kinds of wisdom activity. His wisdom mind is a secret to different kinds of beings. So, especially the name Tathagata has the taste that this being, Siddhartha Gautama, was able to accept the way things were, how things are completely, and was able to live in harmony with the nature of things. Whereas the way we are is the exact opposite of that. And so, for that reason, too, all the things about the Buddha are secret to us, to our mind. Now, the sutra begins with Buddha being on the Vulture Peak mountain in Rajagriha, and together with a large assembly of Sravaka and Mahayana Sangha. And most importantly, at that time, one of the most important retinue was Vajrapani. The idea of Vajrapani, or whether you take Vajrapani as a being or as a bodhisattva or a Buddha, however you understand Vajrapani, is such a precious character, especially for us followers of Mahayana tradition, in Vajrayana tradition. Vajrapani is really one of the most important character, and especially here in this kind of Mahayana text. Again, Vajrapani takes a central role. Now, the gathering, if you read through the descriptions of the people who were gathered, especially the bodhisattvas and their realization, their capacity, it really sounds like bodhisattva on the 10th bhumi. So one might wonder, how could this be secret to them? If someone would know the Buddha, must be these great bodhisattvas like Maitreyas and so on, the bodhisattva on the 10th bhumi, who are about to become fully awakened. And then again in sutras, you find this difference, supposed sort of gap between the wisdom of the fully awakened one and the wisdom of someone, even someone who is on the 10th bhumi. In the Dipema Karpo, in White Lotus Sutra, at one time Buddha hits his hand on the ground, and the ground, there is a split, a huge split appears in the ground, and out comes countless of bodhisattvas. They were all about to become Buddha. And they were all like Maitreya himself. And seeing that, Maitreya asks Buddha, "Who are these people? They are all exactly like me, yet I have never seen them. I do not know them." And so Buddha says, "These are the bodhisattvas who I have been training for 3 countless aeons, since the time I became fully awakened under the Bodhi tree until now." So this kind of a mind-boggling, time sort of twisting explanations about the activities of the Buddha that are even hidden, hidden even for Bodhisattva Mahasattva like Maitreya. Now, Vajrapani is requested to teach about the secrets of the Buddha, the Tathagatas, by Santamati, another Bodhisattva in this sutra. Please read this sutra. It's a bit long, but it is really, it's worth it. Anyway, words of Buddhas are like that. They have a quality, clarity, and a calmness that I think we can all make good use of this day and age. Now, I am very much aware about the time, and I just get lost when I talk about these things. So beginning the sutra, Vajrapani claims that he have been following without a break of even for an instant, this Buddha Sakyamuni, from the day he received prophecy from Buddha Dibamkara. So according to great masters like Sakya Pandita, you receive such clear prophecy when you have reached the eighth bhumi. So in one of the past lives of the Buddha, he received such prophecy from Dibamkara after 12 years of following the Buddha. And from that moment on, Vajrapani says, I have never let go of the side of this Buddha. And this Buddha and Bodhisattva, let's say. So then in this sutra, you find these amazing descriptions of the secrets, first the secrets of the body, speech, and mind of the Bodhisattva himself. Um, like in the milestone number, is it 1.59 in the translation if you look, and also the secrets of the speech of the Bodhisattva is 2.28, where there is an even example given that at this point, whatever the Bodhisattva says is true. Bodhisattva does not even need to ascertain anything. It's just spontaneous. And an example is given that someone who was practicing under a great tree was counting the leaves of the tree through their meditative ability for 12 years and was able to count. And then in one of the past lives of the Bodhisattva, he asked this question, how many leaves are there on this tree? And without even looking up, he gave the number instantaneously. So, and that was true. Densik dupa. In Tibetan, we call it densik dupa. You have the ability to bless your speech, that whatever that is uttered is true. And then the secrets of the mind of the Bodhisattva. Then comes the secrets of the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, starting from the 7th chapter. Like secrets of the physical form of the Buddha. There was a Bodhisattva who wanted to see the Ushinisha of the Buddha. Or, how high does it go? And he kept traveling sort of higher up, and reached past many sort of different worlds and reached a world of a very far away Buddha realm. And even there, he could not reach the tip of Buddha's Ushinisha. He could not even see the Ushinisha. So then there is this kind of very sort of marvelous description of Buddha's physical form. In some sutra, Bhagavan Buddha calls the retinues, his retinues, monks, nuns, lay practitioners, and so on. And then he tells each one of them, each retinue, each groups of disciples to look at here, the center of his chest, his heart. So what we Asians call heart. Look at his heart, Tukla. And Buddha sat there and they looked at his heart And just by looking at the heart of the Buddha, his physical form, not a word was uttered, they began experiencing high sort of realization and freedom of mind, liberation, and so on, based upon their capacities. So then in this way, a fully awakened being is able to teach without uttering even one word. This one, I think you'll find in Buddha Anusmriti Sutra, Samadhi Sagara Sutra. Then the secret of his speech, again, same. Once Sariputra wanted to know, Moggallana Putra wanted to know when Buddha was teaching on Vulture's Peak Mountain, in the request of Maitreya, Moggallana Putra thought, how far does his voice reach? And then he kept on traveling. He traveled so far that it was impossible for him to return on his own accord. He would die on the way. He traveled that far through his miraculous ability and through the blessing of the Buddha. And he gave up because his voice was clear and the strength of his voice was exactly the same if you would be sitting right in front of him or if you would be countless of leagues away from the Buddha. There was no difference. So then you have this kind of really unimaginable characteristics of his speech. I mean, what is there to say? This one you will find in the 8th chapter. Most important one is that Buddha's speech has the ability to dispel the doubt and ignorance of beings. And this one, you really see it in the sutras in his life. Those who were completely engrossed in objects of desire in the morning, in the nighttime, become arhat due to a session of teaching with the Buddha. Some people like Yasha. It's interesting story if you can check about Yasha or Yasa, depending on how. I think it's different of Pali or Sanskrit, I guess. It's unimaginable to think that, you just listen to someone, and while listening, your mind gets utterly purified and you begin to see the ultimate truth right on that spot. There must have been something so transparent about this being. For me, among all of the qualities of the Buddha, this is the most important one and really unimaginably sort of because, yeah, okay. Yes, how many teachings we have received in our lives? How many times we tried to convince someone else of something, and how many times have we succeeded? To be able to liberate the mind of someone just by speaking to them. That is true strength, true blessing, true power. And then the secrets of Buddha's mind. And here you understand that Vajrapani is not just someone on the path, and very well may be a fully awakened being himself. How can you know the secrets of Buddha's mind without being a fully awakened being yourself? Of course, in the sutra, this is quoted by saying that due to the blessing of the Buddha, then the Vajrapani is able to talk about a fraction of the Buddha's mind, the secrets of the Buddha, and so on. But things, claims that Vajrapani makes, that not even for a moment have I been apart from the body, speech, and mind of these bodhisattvas, all 1,000 bodhisattvas who are going to be 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate aeon. Really, if you are a follower of Vajrayana, then you begin to understand the meaning of holding the Vajra. What is Vajra? And what and who can hold it? Well, now the blessed, and then if you continue reading, here also then you find descriptions of Buddha's activities, where the bodhisattvas ask, oh, if you were there all the time, tell us about his activities. Tell us basically your perspective. That's what they're saying. As Dotulku Rinpoche always says, "Dike tagi tube teaching us." That's have I heard at one time, right? Or that's did I hear at one time? That's have I heard at one time? I have heard this. So here, this one is, I think, Ananda. At the end of the sutra, the teaching is entrusted to Ananda. It could be interesting for you. Sakya Pandita, in his history of Buddha Dharma, quotes the sutra that says, Mangdo Töba Sangak Changkunga Ula Chaksalos. The holder of secret, someone who have vast learning. I make prostration. I make prostrations to you, Ananda, like that. So Ananda is then in the Mahayana tradition said to be an emanation of the Siddhartha Gautama. So in the ordinary perception, Ananda was his cousin, and Ananda was ordinary being, until Buddha passed away, and Mahakasyapa had to sort of kick him out, and finally, through grief, Ananda began to understand and then began practicing and become arhats and so on. So that's ordinary explanation. So then here in the Mahayana explanation, Ananda then is said even to be the Vajrapani himself, which I guess has some meaning, because since Ananda became Buddha's attendant, he made Buddha promise that all the teachings Buddha will give, either Ananda will be there in person or Buddha has to repeat it to him afterwards, so, and that also has the sense of knowing all the teachings of the Buddha and so on. Anyway, and then, of course, the explanation is given, wonderful explanation is given, how, like even small things like Buddha receiving a handful of kusha grass from this man who was selling kusha grass, as an offering. He made, and that's, and sitting upon the kusha grass, he became fully awakened. Even that is, it is explained here in this text, in to have more sort of depth than just someone giving him a handful of kusha grass. Please read through this. It's Mahayana is like that, I think. It is really, it's grand, and it is also beyond comprehension. Anyway, then at some point, then Vajrapani invites Buddha to his realm, and because in the form of Vajrapani, he's like a yaksha, nujin, someone who harms. So it's a very, not necessarily he looks nice. And his retinues are also like hungry ghost and other sort of, nudging and um, yeah. And so he invites the Buddha, and he even has to tell the four kings, of celestial realm, please do not harm us. Let us do this. You're also welcome. And I'm doing this for the sake of all these beings in my realm. And so Buddha appears in Vajrapani's realm and stays for a week and so on. And then most importantly, he gives a very clear prophecy to Vajrapani. So I guess in that kind of ordinary perception, Vajrapani then is like a eight Bhumi Bodhisattva. So just as when Siddhartha himself got prophecy from Dibamkara, it is said, Shing Tala Dun Sidu Paknis. He was so happy that he jumped up. How high? How high? If you would put banana trees, like one upon each stack like that, 7 banana trees height, he jumped up out of joy, and it's like a burst of wisdom. And similarly, here in this text, Vajrapani out of joy throws his Vajra high up in the sky. So I thought there's some sort of similarity. Anyway, it's just so vast. I don't know what else to say. If you have questions, please come forth.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for such a detailed teaching that really closely references the texts and bringing out all these very interesting, exciting, very profound elements. So we have quite a bit of time for questions, about 30 minutes or so. Maybe I'll just give our audience a few minutes to submit their questions. We do have a question from earlier on in the talk, so I will read that question to you first, Rinpoche, and then let's see what other questions come in. So this question is from Sandra Cao, and she says, Jashitele de Rinpoche, I saw that today's poster features the quote, a realized one is free of mental consciousness and mind, end quote. Does this mean the same thing as being free of awareness? Could you illustrate this by comparing how unrealized individuals perceive something versus how realized individuals perceive the same thing? What does it take to become free of mind? But isn't mindfulness the so-called essence of our practice? Thank you very much. That's her question.
A difficult question. Yes, basically thoughts in a very crude form, crude manner. When there is no mental activity of grasping or thinking, planning, and so on, mind return back to its true state, Buddha nature. That is the true state of our mind. Buddha nature. What is Buddha? Buddha is awakening, awakened being. So what is the true nature? It's the awakening itself. And so the awakening is there within our mind. It is there in our anger, arrogance, desire. It is always there. There, you can say like that, I guess, for sake of communication. And so Buddhahood is this journey of getting back to that state, getting back to one of the qualities of Buddha's mind is number metokpa. I wanted to talk about it, but I just skipped it. But if you want to read, it is in 9.1. There it says, anyway, number metokpa, not being the wisdom being beyond conceptual mind, beyond conceptual activity. And so Buddha, and so yes, when you practice, first you, let's say like this, first you get rid of desire, aggression, and self-grasping, this ignorance, and you reach the first bhumi. When you see the ultimate reality for the first time, it's called the first bhumi. And as you progress, you reach the seventh bhumi. And from eighth bhumi, until then, from first till seventh bhumi, you no longer have a true self-grasping. You may have thoughts of, I will do this or that, but as you think there is no belief in its true existence, it's more like you understanding you are dreaming, and in this dream now you want to do something. So there is no belief of true existence here. From the eighth bhumi, even that, even such concepts of thinking is sort of no longer there, and just mere perception of individual existence. Dualistic perception is still said to be there. And then when you become Buddha, even that is gone, meaning the Buddha, if we dare to imagine, the Buddha is never away from the ultimate reality, yet the relative truth is always sort of in front of the Buddha. Until then, you either see the ultimate truth or you see the relative truth. Together is not possible. So that, I don't know, that was a very long answer, but yeah.
No, thank you so much, Rinpoche. Yeah, and I think pointing to chapter 9.1, yeah, if our audience wants to look there in the text, there's a very in-depth explanation of what Rinpoche was just referring to. All right, the next question from an anonymous audience member. They ask, please tell us more about the wind chime metaphor. I believe was there a metaphor of the wind chime or something like that that you referenced? Please speak more on this.
Yeah, wind chime. Well, the text says it is an instrument. Not sure it has to be the wind chime that we know, but this is in regards to how does a fully awakened being teach. So Sravaka teachings is due to the perception of the Sravaka practitioners. Mahayana teaching is due to the perception of Mahayana practitioner. Vajrayana teaching is due to the perception of the Vajrayana practitioners, right? So then what did Buddha actually teach? What did he really teach? So there we are talking about the perception of the Buddha himself. Is then that is beyond our perception, and so he didn't teach. Then the description, it is described as if he didn't teach. He didn't say a word. And then how it, and the example, the analogy is given is that of a musical instrument that that an artist makes and places it somewhere, and then afterwards, of course, while the artist is making, has the full intention that it shall create, music, right? But afterwards, depending on different kinds of wind, the intensity of the music and the kinds of music may vary. So that is not really the product, intentional product of the instrument itself. So in the sutta it says, of course, when Buddha was, before he became Buddha, was Bodhisattva at that time have made such aspirations. So that's like the artist making the instrument. And once it is placed, it is out of the artist's hand. So similarly, once the yes, Bodhisattva becomes Buddha is no longer have such grasping, I shall do this or that, or not do this or that. I shall teach such and such to such and such beings. And so it's like placing the wind chime or, these musical instruments.
Mm,
And yeah, so.
mm. Thank you so much. All right. The next question is from Kat Holaki, and they are referencing two specific passages in the text. The first is 1.13, and the quote is, "Their supply of mastery of the dedication of merit serves the purpose of purifying a Buddha domain." And the second quote is from 1.29. "Although they perform physical actions with their bodies, they do not lose sight of the separateness of the body." Rinpoche, could you please comment on these two passages? So that's 1.13 and 1.29.
Okay. Supply of motivation serves the purpose of keeping their word to all being. I read this in Tibetan, so gosh, yeah, sambe tsone jigden tamje milubar juros. I think that's the one. Sambe tsones. Supply here, the translators have translated tsok, which is usually translated as accumulation,
Mm.
as supply. So the accumulation of the motivation, sambe tsok, of the bodhisattvas is, for I now to be able to explain sutra, you have to reach the first bhumi, so that's not possible. But if I have to guess, if I'm allowed to smear my conceptual mind upon the lines of the Buddha, then it is like sambitsoknes, the gathering, the accumulation of intention of the Bodhisattva for many, many lives. The Bodhisattva have to gather intention, right? I will do this, I will do like that, I will benefit beings. So that makes the Bodhisattva trustworthy. Mm, Here, this keeping their word to all people, or Miluva Juru. Miluva is someone who will not deceive all worldly beings. So that. And then what was the other one? 129, right?
1.29, that's right.
Okay.
Mm.
The Bodhisattva's bodily demeanor. That one? Oh, sorry. 127.
It is, although they
Yeah.
perform physical actions with their bodies, they do not lose sight of the separateness of the body. So, Rinpoche, can I just go back to the previous quote? Actually, the person was asking about, let me see, ngoala kebeto. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the supply, the accumulation of they translate it as the mastery of dedication. That line. So, ngoala kebetogni, 상계
And
계신 용수, that one.
okay. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
ngo le kepe sone sangi ki shin yonsu tabar juru, is that one?
Yes, that line,
Okay.
yes.
One of the activities of the Bodhisattva is preparing a Buddha realm. So in Siddhartha Gautama himself, sort of when we talk about like sutra, like Abhinishkramana talks about it. I think maybe Lalita Vistara too, that before the birth of Buddha, Buddha announces in the heavenly realm that I will now take birth in the human realm and so on. And so to prepare, as preparation for that, many so heavenly beings appear to humans, and then they begin to give teachings. They begin to give many spiritual or teachings that will sort of support the rise of the Buddha. For example, Um, so when Buddha enters the womb of his mother, right? So she has a dream that elephant with six tusks, entered her womb. So, and that is with the holding a lotus. So that's considered very auspicious in a text. That text was taught a couple of 100 years ago by one of the celestial being who appeared. Because one day in Tushita is like, I don't know, 200 years or something of human realm. So a few days ago could be 1,000 years ago for us, or 700 years ago. A celestial being, knowing that Siddhartha is going to appear, have taught these, saying, such and such. For example, the 32 and 80 marks, these are also have been taught into these some of these texts. Maybe not entirely, but some of these. And so when Buddha appeared, those people refer to those texts, the great practitioners of those texts, look at the physical form of the Buddha, of the young prince, and say such things like, oh, he's going to be either a fully awakened being or a Chakrabartin king, like that. So anyway, Xing So that's like Xing preparing the Buddha realm. So before the appearance of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva appears in these realms and then prepare beings so that they're ready to receive the teachings. Also similar to before Maitreya begins to teach, his emanation first comes upon this earth, supposedly, right? In future, and then teach, and then appears Maitreya. So this Jing Zhongwa. So for that, you have to make dedication. So Bodhisattva dedicates their merit that may I be able to, purify Ram. In the King of Aspirations, you find this a lot. I think anyway, sorry about the long answer.
No, no, thank you so much. And then the second quote, 1.29, although they perform physical actions with their bodies, they do not lose sight of the separateness of the body. I just found the Tibetan line in 1.29 that is Lugi Lugi Luche, Leche, sorry, Lugi Lugi Leche Murki Lugi Emba Yang Midoro.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
so they're asking about
Luigi,
that one.
is that
It,
Luigi Leche Me, Luigi Bembaya Midoro?
yes, exactly that line. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just cannot find it. But this
Yeah.
sounds like Luigi Leche Me, Luigi Bembaya Midoro. Very similar. So the Bodhisattva may appear to perform various physical activities, going here and there and so on, but is never distracted. Luchi Vempa is never
Mhm.
distracted. When the great Sakyapandita was, traveling to China, and someone kind of asked him because he became very famous, and he was invited by the grandson of Genghis Khan, so it's a huge deal. From all over Tibet, he was chosen. And so, and also he became very wealthy. So someone was like kind of criticizing, asking him, you've been teaching since the age of like 14, and now you have so much thing to do. When do you get to meditate? Do you even get to practice? And Sakya Pandita said, I have never been distracted. From the moment I began teaching till now, there's never been a moment that I was distracted. It's like that. Luigi Wembayang Medoros, I think.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. Now,
Yes.
moving on to the next question. Um, we have a question from Jordy Lee, who says, Dashtele Rinpoche La. And they say that they have very little understanding of one particular verse. I think actually they're talking about a different sutra, not the one Rinpoche you were teaching on, but the recollection of the Triple Gem Sutra. And the quote is, "He does not abide in nirvana; he abides in perfect wisdom, in a state of seeing all sentient beings." Could you please elaborate on this? I think this is a description of the Buddha. Could you describe this, elaborate on this, and talk about how this relates to the text you were teaching on today, the Tathagata's secret? Thank you.
Um, being ordinary sentient beings, like someone like me, everything is understood in duality. I have no perception of non-dual existence. Of course, we can use words like non-duality, and it feels like we have understood non-duality. We are talking about non-dual, like incalculable, innumerable, or inexpressible. These are all the words that, yeah, seem to represent their meaning, but inexpressible is a word that expresses that which cannot be cannot be expressed. It's ridiculous. So similarly, our idea of samsara and nirvana, or samsara is bad, nirvana is good. And so when we speak about the Buddha, then the quality of the Buddha is have gone even beyond nirvana. Buddha does not just abide in nirvana in some deep, sort of profound meditation now. Or as our Dharma brothers and sisters from Sravaka tradition might believe that after the passing parinirvana of the Buddha, Buddha is gone. That is remaining in nirvana now. But here there is no such thing. Since Buddha now no longer belongs to any particular world, he belongs to all of the world. So while being fully awakened, he might appear as anything, as a bird, a woodpecker, a leaf, So that, to make it very simple, I guess, that he, does not basically have the ability to um, per, perceive, I guess, both ultimate and relative truth simultaneously without contradiction.
Thank you. The next question is from Junjie Su, who asks, how do we understand the expression 1 kilogram of anger is 1 kilogram of wisdom?
Oh, that one is from Bimala Kirti Nirdesha Sutra. That one is very much in accord to the idea of Buddha nature or self-awareness of the wisdom. Mind, this mind, when you analyze a little bit, you might find that it's made up of awareness, which in themselves has no grasping of good or bad or anything. Yet their continuity is misunderstood as a thought, as a good, bad, anything, anger, desire, where awareness in its raw form has no such thing. In this regard, all things are completely free, nirvana. I forgot what I'm saying now. But yeah. So that's that. In that sense, then one kilo of anger is 1 kilo of wisdom. But you have to be able to extract that. You have to be able to see that. And maybe that's a good thing. When we get angry, we should have this yearning, some sort of disheartedness that how come I cannot see it? It's right here.
Okay, thank you. We only have a few minutes left. We might not get to all of the questions, but let me move on to another one. This one is from an anonymous asker. They they are asking you, Rinpoche, how to see the phenomenon of impermanence. They ask, should I see it as the process of non-existence of existence, and appearing and new existences appearing in a linear form? Or should I be seeing this as seeing shape and size, but while seeing shape and size and so forth, seeing it disappear? Does that question make sense? It's a question of
Really
how
good.
they should understand,
This is really
the
good.
perception of impermanence. Yeah.
This is so good. Both at different times. Sometimes see impermanence as something scary. Sometimes see impermanence as something exciting. Impermanence, that's all there is. Everything is impermanent. Um, then yes, sometimes see impermanence as a thinly veiled teaching of selflessness. How amazing is that? Because impermanent teaches everything changes. Everything changes. You, who you are, who you think you are, everything changes each moment. That which keeps changing is not true. If you ask your friend about something, if you are keep, but every day they have a different answer for you. So it's not true. You cannot trust that person. It's like that. It's all good. I thank you. Please do that because um, approaching ultimate truth through the teaching of the relative truth is, from in my view, quite stable, more stable and less danger than just analyzing where am I, where's my body, where's my mind. It's for like falling into danger of falling into like a nihilistic approach if we are not careful.
Mm. Thank you. And maybe this is a good transition to another question, where someone named Tathāgata is asking, is the manifestation of non-dual emptiness, or the emptiness of non-duality, can we understand that to be like using the metaphor of a rainbow, which can't be cut or burned? Yeah, is that how we should understand the manifestation of non-dual emptiness?
Manifestation of non-dual emptiness. So appearance, right?
Yeah, I think so. Is a rainbow a good way to understand it?
Sure. Rainbow, reflection,
Mm,
mirror, a dream,
mm,
imagination, feelings and thoughts,
mm,
everything. Just use
mm,
anything.
mm. Thank you. Um, Perhaps we will do one more question. Um, Someone anonymous asks Rinpoche how a bodhisattva prepares for the Pure Land or a Pure Land. Um, how is this? How should we? Yeah, how should a bodhisattva prepare for a Pure Land? And does this? How does it exist in the mental projection of sentient beings? And how do you establish a connection with something like a Pure Land?
You mean Bodhisattva purifying Buddha realms? That one?
I guess so. Maybe that person is referencing, the
Yeah.
previous discussion. Yeah.
Mm, that one, um, well, the appearance of Buddha is extremely rare and is a perception of beings who have really, really good karma. But so before that, then bodhisattvas have to appear and start giving teachings like do not kill. One
Mm,
should not kill. If you, and it could even be like if you kill, some some creator will harm you or some truth will something will happen. And do not lie, do not steal. So the teaching of 10 virtuous and non-virtuous actions. So from like that, Bodhisattva builds up the merit, collective merit of the world. In case of Maitreya, before Maitreya appears, this world is said to be in such a state that it's terrible. No one has merit. No one looks good. No one has fame, proper fame. No one, like that. And then this person appears, Maitreya, one of his emanation. He's so wonderful. Everybody asks, why do you look so good? Why are you so tall? Like that. Why, how come you have no diseases? No problem. And then he begins saying, oh, because I do not kill, I do not lie. So then people begin to follow this emanation. And as they follow, the collective merit of beings grow, and the less and less diseases, less famine, less war, less problems. And then finally appears Maitreya, like that.
Mm, mm. Rinpoche, actually, I said last question, but could I ask just one more? Because I think it's kind of relevant to today's text. Is that okay, Rinpoche? We can
Yeah, sure.
also, and okay. This is a question from Li Ping Chen, who says, the text is called Tathāgatas, the secrets of the Tathāgatas, right? So, but if these are secrets, how can we tell if it's wisdom or just an illusion of our ego?
These are the result of our delusion in Buddha's wisdom,
Mm,
the teachings of the Buddha.
mm,
In Tibetan Sūtra, the translation is Do, Mao Tanar Do. It also means like a crossroad.
mm,
One can understand it as a wisdom of the Buddha in mind of beings meeting but for once. Thus have I heard at one time.
mm,
Mm. And so, yeah, all we have is delusion right now. Within delusion, you have to find wisdom. That's how it is.
mm. Thank you so much, Rinpoche. That's a really nice way to end today's teaching. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us on this very auspicious day. And may we all continue to learn the secrets of the realized ones, as you've kindly taught us today. A very heartfelt thank you to everyone for joining us today. You can read the sutra in our collection at 84000.co. Open the collection from the main menu and you can access it, or you can simply click on the link that we've shared in the comment box. You can also access it anytime, just at your fingertips, by downloading the 84000 mobile app on your phone. We'd like to also express our deepest thanks to the interpreters for bringing Rinpoche's precious teachings to life into multiple languages today. As the year draws to a close, it's also a perfect time to reflect and set our aspirations for the year ahead. And we do offer these teachings on Sūtra every quarter of the year. On the most auspicious days of the Buddhist calendar. So please stay tuned. Please sign up for the 84000 newsletter if you would like to stay up to date for our events. And to learn more about Dotulku's teachings and activities, please check out Aryatara's net at aryatara.net. And we look forward to connecting with all of you again very soon. Please take care and thank you so much again, Rinpoche. Thank you.
So, Kadinchi.